So yeah, now let's talk about DAI token. As I said, let's actually talk about how DAI works. Okay, so DAI is one of the best known stablecoins in the most successful actually projects in the past few years, and one of the best known stablecoins in the market. Right. So it has two token. One is DAI, this DAI token, and the other one is Maker, MKDR. So it's not a collateral. Okay, Maker MKR is for the governance of the MakerDAO. So MakerDAO is actually the party or the organization, this DAO behind this stablecoin. There have to be some person, right? So this MakerDAO is the thing behind DAI stablecoin. Okay, which actually makes it unique as each DAI is backed by Ether instead of third party. So this is amazing. Instead of any third party like USDT, Tether community, Tether organization, or Circle organization, claiming that they have required collateral, which we definitely it's up to you they want to show it or not. Having a third party claiming it, we have natively, not natively, but we have Ether actually on chain showing that it is there, right? So yeah. And one more thing to remember is that DAI is not an algorithmic stablecoins. People are confusing, DAI with algorithmic stablecoin, but DAI is not algorithmic stablecoin. Just to be clear for you, and just here, right? There are a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of chaos, but yeah, just make sure DAI is not an algorithmic stablecoin. Okay. I will also share one tweet by tag as well. Okay, so more than of the 2% of entire Ethereum, like entire ETH, is actually logged in the MakerDAO. Right? That's true. All of the total market cap of Ethereum, all the total supply, is actually logged in MakerDAO. Like 2% of it is logged in the MakerDAO. It is one of the most influential stable and as it gives the idea of how an ideal stablecoin should look like. It is one of the influential stablecoin to say, but it also has its ill effects. Sometimes it gets depegged, right? So there is one thing. There is definitely bad side of everything. Okay. But yeah, it is one of the ideal stablecoins, how ideal stablecoins should look like. Now let's actually talk about its working. Okay. So now let's understand the DAI token, how it usually works. So one more thing is that now DAI token is multi-collateral. Before that, it was only accepting Ethereum as a collateral, but now it accepts a few other cryptocurrencies as a collateral. We will talk about that as well. There is one cash in that. Okay. So in the DAI token, like how this usually works is for the Ethereum one. So you have some kind of ETH, then only you will able to go to MakerDAO and get DAI token. Obviously, you can buy it from third party marketplaces, Binance, Coinbase, etc. But if you want to just directly get DAI token, you should DAI token from MakerDAO. So what you usually do is, and one credit to HackerNoon, I got this images from HackerNoon, so you can follow them. They have some amazing content, and I'll provide the link in the description. Okay. So step one is basically it's very simple. You have the user, you have some kind of Ethereum, some amount of Ethereum. You will just deposit or send this Ether to MakerDAO smart contract, creating a CDP. So CDP is an agreement just in which your collateral is logged in a smart contract to generate a stablecoin. So it's just an agreement, okay? Okay, so you open this CDP. Once you submit this, once you submit your Ethereum, the step two, second, what will happen is they say, for example, you deposited one Ether. So one Ether, suppose, for example, let's take this example, you have one Ether, and the dollar and the value of one Ethereum is $150 as of now. Okay, let's consider it. So what will happen is this will actually allow you to take up to 100 DAI because the collateral ratio is 150%. Okay, so this collateral ratio, if you calculate it, so it will be around 150 divided by 1.5, right? Since the collateral ratio is 150%, so you will be allowed to actually take up 100 DAI or mint up to 100 DAI token, assuming you have one Ether and it's the value of Ethereum is $150, right? Against your $150, you will get 100 USD, 100 worth of 100 DAI, and just one DAI is equals to 1 USD. So yeah, okay. And this is basically, the collateralization is 150, as I said. Like, we have to keep in mind this might change, and so hopefully, however, if the price right now, the price is $150, this is how the simple working of that token. But however, if the price of Ether drops below $150, your CDP will be forcefully closed. Okay, and this is limit beyond the users. This is actually the limit beyond the user is liquidated. Okay, so for example, you have this one Ethereum is $150, right? And you just collect a shares on 50. This is the maximum amount of limit. The maximum amount of limit is $100. But it is not like that you can only mint $100. You can actually mint $90. You can mint $50. You can mint $10. 10 like that token. Okay. But the maximum limit is $100. So if, for example, you have $100, like we have submitted, you have one Ether and $50, they submitted that as a collateral, you issued the maximum amount, it is $100 itself. Okay. But if the price of Ethereum goes below 150, then your CDP may be collateralized position could be forcefully closed, and it can get closed. Okay, so you lose your collateralization, that is your one ETH. Okay, and this way it has always has some more collateral than actually the DAI borrowed or minted. So this is very helpful because you just don't have the same amount of Ethereum logged in the smart contract as the same amount of DAI issued. You actually have more collateral. So that's why it is a over collateralized stable coin as well. Okay. And if you want to stop this from happening, like you want this to happen, like if you don't want your CDP to get forcefully closed, what you can do is you can put more Ether or actually take out less DAI in the first phase, right? So we have 150 USD of one price of one Ether. So what you can do is if the price of one Ether goes below 150 USD and you've already taken the maximum amount, you will have to submit more Ethereum so that the collateralization ratio matches it, right? So if you want it, you have to put out more Ether to the stable coin, the smart contract of the MAKERDAO smart contract, or else you should take less amount of USDC, DAI. If you should less amount of DAI in the first phase itself. If you have the limit of like 100 DAI tokens, then you should, maybe mint 50, you should maybe mint 60 or 70 or whatever. It's up to you. Just to ensure there's always enough capital locked against the amount of money being taken out. So this is actually very good and actually very stable as well. And you also have some more examples as well in the future. But yeah, okay. So the step third, like this is the step too simple. Like you have to submit the Ether, and then there's a collateral ratio. It depends if you it depends on the MAKERDAO governance to find out this collateral ratio. Changes, I guess, all the time. But yeah, this is how the second step is, and then the third step is if you want your Ether back, you don't want your DAI token. If you want your Ether back, you need to pay back the amount you took out with the addition of some minor fees. Yes. So if you are issuing, if you're getting some DAI token, you will have to pay some minor fee. Yes. So all the DAI token that are supplying that are supplies in the market, somebody is actually paying the fee, some minor fee for it. Okay. So every year there's a 2% stability fee. This is like decided with the Maker governance token. If you are worried about what is the use of Maker token, then yeah, it is a governance token, and you can choose what will be the stability fee of the what will be the stability fee of the governance of the Maker DAO and DAO token, and then also how much the CDP ratio is that we talked about. You can vote on that kind of stuff. So if you have Maker DAO, Maker token, okay. So the contract will directly burn your DAI token and it will close your CDP and it will pay back all the Ether that you have, like the current price of the Ether, obviously. It will pay that much amount of Ether, okay? So whosoever minted DAI anytime, they are getting charged as of now. And yeah, this is all about how the stablecoin actually works, the DAI stablecoin, right? This is the simple working of the stablecoin, and simple close CTP pays the stability fee, and you can get your Ethereum or any other collateral back. Okay. Now let's actually move on to the code walkthrough of DAI token. So now let's move on to understanding the DAI smart contract and the code of that. So for that, first of all, I tried reaching out to MakerDAO people because the code of MakerDAO governments and DAI token is a little complex. So, first of all, I tried to reaching out to them. Maybe someone is available to come and teach in this crash course, but I got no response. So I myself got into their docs, tried to understand how it actually works. It is a little bit of complex, but yeah, we will get through it. Okay. But still, right now you're still in this course, you are liking it, then please share it on LinkedIn and Twitter. And also do like this video. This will help the algorithm to, show it to the other people, and do comment as well. Thank you so much. And now let's actually let me share my screen. So I am on the GitHub of MakerDAO, and under DSS I have opened DSS is DAI stablecoin system. So under that I am on DAI.sol contract. This DAI is a ERC20 token on Ethereum, and this is like the ERC20 token contract of DAI. This includes everything that has the ERC20 token has, like simple functions, transfer from mint, burn, and all that stuff as well. But there are it's actually connected to other smart contracts as well. So now let's directly go through the DAI, like MakerDAO website. They have some technical docs that are actually present in there. But before that, before moving that, I went to the website and I went to this. I found this PDF, which was actually an interesting one that explains a lot of technical stuff about DAI and MakerDAO, how that actually works. So I will link that in the description. So if you are interested to learn about that, you can definitely visit it, and you should visit it. Okay. So there was some comparison between Psi and DAI. I already told you that Psi was actually single collateral DAI. So before that, like right now, it's MakerDAO supports multi-collateral, which means that you can put different types of asset as collateral, right? But before this, before sometimes it was only accepting Ethereum as the only collateral, right? So as you can see, the differences here: single collateral type is backing by single collateral. Collateral was ETH, and here after it becomes multi-collateral. It can be backed by multiple collaterals, right? Different types of collateral that are obviously approved by the MakerDAO as well. Okay. And then there are definitely some advantages as well over multi-collateral DAI as well, right? So you can definitely check that out. I mean, there are some differences, like before in single collateral DAI, Maker MKR token, Maker governance token, was used to pay the stabilization fee. Yeah, if you remember, if we talked about the stabilization fee, and in multi-collateral DAI, we used DAI to pay the stability fee. Okay. So there are some few differences, and then some terminologies that are not, important to us as well. There are a lot of things to read about it. If you go deep, there are endless possibilities, and this crash course could become like a, I don't know, 24 hours crash course. So it's a lot to discuss. But yeah, let's focus on the main points as well, right? So I have wrote down some main points that. So this diagram is actually a good example of how the DAI stablecoins totally works, like how it coordinates with several smart contract and other stuff. So these all are like, most of them are smart contracts, like VET. We will talk about that. We will talk about several other stuff as well, but we're not going to talk about everything because it becomes very hard to talk about everything, right? So this is like a good example. There are different modules as well that we are going to talk about, and there is something called emergency shutdown module as well, like you can see here the end one. So this is like the emergency shutdown module, the shutdown stuff that we will talk about. That is one of the interesting thing that I got to know. Now let's actually move on to the documentation again of MakerDAO. Okay. Uh, just a second. Okay. So this is the actual, so this is actually the DAI.sol token that we were actually looking on our GitHub. So this is just an introductory to that. Like it is an ERC20 token contract, maintaining the account for external DAI balances and other stuff, right? And then this is the architecture as well. This isn't the whole architecture, but this is just interaction with the DAI one, if you will able to see it. Interaction of the DAI with the wet. Now, what is wet? Just a second, we're going to talk about it in a bit. Okay, this is like the contract details. If you are interested, you should visit the documentation as well, right? These are just key mechanics and simple concepts that you can, go and talk about. This includes, some differences. What are some differences from a simple ERC20 token? Like transfer from and DAI contract works in slightly different form than generic transfer from function. It allows for unlimited approval rather than limited approval, right? So there are some differences that you can check out, like push, pull, and move are analysis for transfer from calls in the form of transfer from. Yeah, I mean, there is like little difference that you can check out, but yeah, most of them is the same, right? So now let's talk about wet, right? This that you are seeing this wet. I mean, this is a very, very important stuff that we should talk about. Okay. So why wet? So this is the core modules, right? So let me just tell you one thing that there are, if you see the documentation of MakerDAO, there are different modules as well, like core modules, collateral module, right? And Oracle module. There are different types of Oracle under the DSS, right? So you can check that out. That was also in the diagram that we were talking about, right? You can see here the different types of modules, like this module is different, system stabilizer, right? There is one dot Oracle module, so there must be a Oracle module is over here, right? And then there is a shutdown one, emergency shutdown module as well. So there are different modules that combine all together, right? Now let's talk about this wet. What is this main thing called wet? So wet is actually, the single source of truth for the maker protocol, as it says here. Like wet in general is defined as a large tank or a tub to hold liquid, right? You can see here it's very usual, very common. We will see it out there. So this is called actually wet. So wet actually holds all the fundamental primitives of the MakerDAO protocol. So it's just like a source to put everything inside it. Like it contains the accounting system of the core vault, like internal DAI balances, what is the collateral state, everything is in the wet, right? And this wet, there are different functions as well of wet as well, like vaults. It also contains some public interfaces, allowing vault owners to transfer, split, and merge the different vaults. Okay. So now there are some fundamental primitives of the Maker protocol. The wet holds these fundamental primitives. These are like database, and then there is accounting system that we talked about, vault management, vault fungibility, right? These are some things that we talk about, and this is what wet is for. Now let's also go to the documentation as well and see what that has to say about wet as well. So there is a detailed documentation about wet in the MakerDAO documentation page. So wet is like the core vault engine of DSS. DSS is DAI Stablecoin system. So it is actually the core vault engine of the DSS, right? It stores vaults and it tracks all the associated DAI and collateral balances. So all the associated DAI that we talked about, that you have to put some collateral, some crypto collateral, to mint the DAI token. So all the tracks are in this wet contract. Okay. It also defines the rules by which vaults can be manipulated. So it acts as a constitution of the DSS, right? So this wet is actually constitution of the DAI stable coin system. And also one more thing is that it is immutable, which means that it can't be changed, right? That's why it is viewed as a constitution of the DSS, right? And there are some glossary, some terms that if you want to talk about gem and all that stuff, you can also even visit the wet smart contract as well. I hope so. I ordered. Yeah, this is the vet.sol smart contract that you can visit if you want to check stuff. So Warts is something that only can call the authorized functions, right? So these are some Warts, and there's some other glossaries as well. If you want, you can go through this, and then if you are unable to understand anything, and this is smart contract, this includes math and this administration function that we were talking about. So only the Watts can call these functions as well, right? And then there are some other functions as well that you can check out. And yeah, if you are unable to find anything, like if you are unable to understand anything, one tip that I can give it to you is that just go to this MakerDAO glossaries that is at the end, and here are different several terms that you can understand. If we go through in this video, it will take a lot of time. So just go through here, just do Control F, and then you can search whatever you want. If you want to search wet, and then this will give you thousands of words, so you can actually understand what that stuff is. Okay, so yeah, so wet is just like a large tank to hold everything, and it acts as a constitution as well, and a single source of truth for the Maker protocol. Okay, so we have covered this, and now let's actually talk about cat.sol. Okay, so after wet, there is one more component that is cat. So cat is vaults that are too risky, right? So let's read this paragraph. The generator of the vault DAO owner and borrower, while the smart contract system is generated to increase the borrower's confidence in the minted value. Uh, if the value of the underlying asset dips below the required amount, the collateralization ratio decreases. To increase this ratio, right, we already had an example, we talked about this, right? So to increase this ratio, prevent insolvency of the system, the generator takes via the CAT the collateral and sells it for DAI in an auction. So act is adding CAT, this CAT contract is acting as a medium, or what to say, an interface, something, right, to sell, so that the collateral can be sold out, right? So if the system, like the generator, takes the collateral via the CAT smart contract, so this is the importance of the CAT smart contract, right? And then it sells it for DAI in an auction, right? So this is what simple the CAT is. Let me see if that is also present on the MakerDAO documentation under any module. No, I don't see it. But yeah, that's the simple one. If you still want to learn more about cat.sol, if you want to visit the smart contract, then it must be here somewhere. Yeah, this is cat.sol. If you want, you can check that out. So, there are some different stuff, crazy namings. They're like crazy namings of the things, so you can check out that. And if you're unable to find anything and to understand anything, one good thing is to go to the glossary and search here. It is definitely gonna help you. Okay, now the next thing that we are going to talk about is spotter, right? So what is a spotter? In simple, like in real life, spotter is someone who spot someone's, and means to physically help them in safely competing skills. So spotter is this guy who's helping this sportsman person to in terms of safety, right? So this is what a spotter is. And in here also, this the Maker protocol requires real-time information about the market price of the asset used as collateral and wallets, right? Ultimately, this market price determines the amount of DAI that can be minted, right? So you need some kind of price as well, like the smart contracts need to know. If you haven't watched my EVM crash course, go and watch that. It actually talks about how contracts cannot access the previous state or an external API or anything, right? So that's why we need oracles to get the price on chain, right? So yeah, there are oracle modules that handles how market prices are recorded on the blockchain, definitely. And then the spotter is simply an interface contract where external actors pull the current market price from the Oracle module for a specified collateral type, so it reads the market price from the spotter. Okay, that's a very simple thing. Let's go there, and let me just show you what is written here. So it's like between a liaison between the Oracle and the core contract. So there must be some Oracle stuff as well. So this is the spot that basically act as a liaison between the oracles and the core contracts. It functions as an interface contract and only stores the current ILK list. ILK is the collateral, basically. It's nothing, just collateral. Okay. So it acts as basically as an interface or liaison between the oracle and the core smart contract. Let's also go to the architecture. Here, see, where is a spot. Okay, so this is spot that is basically help acting as providing. Yeah, so this is the oracle module. Here you can see that this is green ones are the oracle module. This is basically acting as a license between the vet, our tub that holds everything, and the oracle modules. Okay, cool. Now let's move on to our next thing, that is emergency shutdown. Okay, so there are a lot of other stuff as well that you can check out. I mean, this PDF contains a lot of good stuff. If you want to definitely technically go into a lot of details, I mean, it's up to you. If you have free time, you should go into it. But yeah, so there are a lot of good stuff in this module. It basically explains everything about the Maker DAO working and different types of stuff. Like, wow, what is that? You must be finding this inside the vault dot fire, vault dot soul, I guess. There must be a lot of different stuff that you can talk about. But yeah, I really want to talk about the emergency shutdown. But before that, let's me go to the. So here, as I told you, that there are different types of modules as well, like Oracle module, proxy module, peg stability module. So you will find all those module in this PDFs. Like you can, if you want to understand what is Oracle module, you can check out here, and there are different components as well, like medianizer, OSM, Oracle security module, right? So you can check out all that stuff, like Maker MKR module, right? So this is like the governance one. If you are interested in the governance side of the things, you can check out that. And then yeah, now let's actually talk about the emergency one that I wanted to talk about. This is the jug and the pot one. These are, I guess, the rates module. Yeah, this rates module is responsible for collecting the stability fee, right? We will talk about when we talk about the architecture. Okay. Now this is the proxy module. If you still don't know what is proxy, then go and check it out on YouTube. This proxy module, I guess there must be some proxy contracts so that in future, if there is an upgrade, so these proxy contracts can help in doing that. And then there is emergency shutdown. Okay, that's what I wanted to talk about. So emergency shutdown is the last resort to protect the system against a serious threat. So suppose, for example, there is a hack, or there is something that is maybe a governance attack or security breach or something, then there is this emergency shutdown button, maybe just a danger button that you can use, right? So yeah, just wanted to talk about that. There are different components inside that, right? And there is some ESM calls as well function which you can talk, which freezes the protocol and locks all the spot prices, like collateral USD prices for each ILK. ILK is nothing but any collateral type, right? So you can, so when you call that function, it freezes the protocol and locks all the prices of that. And then after that, like, there is one thing of and the component in the emergency shutdown, there is ESM that we talked about, the emergency shutdown module, which you can find in the diagram as well. The ESM, this is the emergency shutdown module, which can be acted as in the case of emergency, right? And the malicious governance and the attack facilitated by a critical work. So maker holders lock their MKR in this emergency, shutdown module, and then are immediately burned. And when the ESM's internal sum balance is equal or greater than the minimum threshold, then the end dot cage function can be called. Okay. And there must be this end.esm contract. If you want to check out, let's hop over there as well. Okay, so this is like the ESM. It's a different repo for that. Okay, so this is emergency shutdown module contract with the ability to end.cage, that is trigger an emergency shutdown, that you can check out. There must be the smart contracts in there. Okay, yeah. So this is the ESM.sol. You can check out this is smart contract as well. This looks like it's interesting. So if it is something that is interesting to you, do check it out. So there is like join function. Join is actually for the responsible. Actually, it is a rate module that we are going to talk about and responsible for collecting stability fees. So it is there as well. And yeah, I mean, there are different functions, lot to cover. I even don't know what half of the function does. So if you are really interested into understanding the smart contract, the actual working of this, then you should definitely, visit. Also join the Discord server of these guys, and they hold some meetings. I guess I joined one of them, so you can ask your live questions over there. Now let's move on to the overall diagram that we were talking about. So this is the VAT that we have already discussed. This is the and emergency shutdown modules in case of any emergency. Now this is the CDP manager. So CDP manager, we talked about it. It actually it is the governance kind of the things, and it manages all the CDP collateralized debt position that opens that we have already talked about. What are CDPs? And this giant pot actually is responsible for collecting the stability fees. These are rates modules. And then this is more of like the governance module stuff, right? And then the spot that we have already talked about, it act as a interface or between wall as an oracle to the vet, so that the vet can get the prices of the oracle, like the real life prices, so that it can actually check out how much amount of DAI can be minted in a po- instead of the collateral that you have that has been submitted to the MakerDAO smart contract. Okay. Yeah, so I guess this is all about it. Just an overview. I'm not going deep because it's a lot to cover on. Even it took me a while to understand this stuff and to understand this architecture. What are this different stuff or what is happening? So yeah, I mean, if you want to get a technical deep dive, then do tag me on Twitter and tag the MakerDAO Twitter account and tell them to come onto my YouTube channel, and then we can have a talk, and they can help us understand this smart contract. And this also you will not find it on YouTube as well. This is like the first video someone has created that is actually talking about the architecture of MakerDAO. Even on the MakerDAO's YouTube, nobody has talked about this stuff. They always obviously have PPTs and good documentation, but nobody has created a video around this. I guess this is the first video that you are going to get on. Okay. And these arrows also means something like government calls are represented by governance calls are represented by the red arrows, the public calls, that public calls, and the authorization calls as well, that is represented by the black arrows. So I will actually provide the link to all this stuff in the YouTube description. So if you want to understand this, do visit it. Okay. And there is now one interesting case that I want to talk about. So let's actually move on to our presentation back. Okay, I have a good diagram that I want to talk about. There is a unique case regarding the multi-collateral DAI. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to talk regarding this wrapped Bitcoin case, right? So there is one important case with the introduction of multi-collateral DAI, that you could actually use any ERC token to collateralize your CDP. I also have a diagram for that I have created. So let me also just show that diagram to you guys. That will help you to understand what I'm trying to say. My drawing skills are a little bit bad, so please bear it with me. But yeah, I hope you're able to understand the diagram. I will tell you what this diagram is all about. Okay. One important case that I wanted to discuss was after the introduction of multi-collateral DAI, you could actually use any approved tokens to collateralize your CDP, right? Collateralize your position. And on May 2020, the MakerDAO government actually announced that they are going to accept wrapped Bitcoin as a collateral. Okay. So, and there is what is wrong with this? Like this, just simply as using any other token as collateral. But there is something that I wanted to talk about. So, using wrapped Bitcoin, so suppose there is an individual or whoever it is, you have wrapped Bitcoin, you use that as a collateral, so you opens a CDP, whatever the collateralization ratio is, you give your smart contract, you give your wrapped Bitcoin as a collateral into the MakerDAO smart contract, and then you can mint DAI based on the collateralization or whatever it is. But this could actually result in under collateralized CDP issues if the issuers are forced to freeze the assets that are present in the MakerDAO smart contract. So, for example, the SEC. So maybe tomorrow the SEC, there is something wrong. Maybe they want to, they will tell the maybe the Bitcoin, the issuer of the wrapped Bitcoin, to maybe freeze the assets that are present in the MakerDAO smart contract, like the wrapped Bitcoin, right? So in this case, Bitcoin, the Bitco, the organization, the issuer behind the wrapped Bitcoin, will be forced to actually freeze those assets and blacklist all the wrapped Bitcoin, blacklist this MakerDAO address, right? So what this will result is that once this Bitco they blacklist the wrapped Bitcoin from the MakerDAO address. What this means is that all this wrapped Bitcoin that are actually present in the MakerDAO address that is backing the CDP will be worthless, right? So that is actually a big problem, right? So in the Ethereum case, this doesn't happen. But what if this is blacklisted and this wrapped Bitcoin that you are using to collateralize your CDP after the government, or maybe this is a case, a usual case, maybe there are less chances to it, but it can happen, right? So once the wrapped Bitcoin is blacklisted from the MakerDAO address, all these wrapped Bitcoin that are backing the CDP will become worthless. So this will create chaos, and this is one of the problem that is faced by wrapped Bitcoin. So we actually need some kind of new technology that we can use to use these non-smart contract tokens in a decentralized way, in a secure way, in our Web3 world, in to provide decentralization, such thing like the non-smart contract token like Bitcoin, like XRP. You need a decentralized way and secure way to use these kind of tokens in the DeFi protocol, in the DeFi system, to provide more decentralization and security, right? So yeah, I mean, this is one of the case that I wanted to talk about. Now, I guess let's move on to our next topic. That is the next topic that is, I guess, yeah, algorithmic stablecoin and non-collateralization stablecoins, and what happened with that. And but before moving ahead, if you are liking this video, if you are, if this crash course is helping you, then please, subscribe to the channel and share it on LinkedIn and Twitter. I will be really happy. And please like the video and comment in the comment section. If you have any doubt as well, just comment in the comment section. And